A Night in Pittsburgh with National Cares Mentoring Movement's Susan Taylor. This video is brought to you by the ladies that run Pittsburgh Cares, Linda Banks and Terry Michelle. Pittsburgh Cares is an affiliate with the National Cares Mentoring Movement.
KDKA-TV, and I would like to personally welcome each and every one of you to this evening's event. It is not just an honor for me to welcome you. It's a privilege for me to be a part of this evening's event for a couple of reasons. Number one, I have had the privilege and the pleasure to be in Susan's company on several different occasions. Earlier today being the most recent occasion. And Susan Taylor has the ability to make me personally want to be a better person. And I think that's what this evening is all about. Making all of us want to be better people. Making all of us want to do better, be better, try to touch other people in special ways, through mentoring, through caring. And one of the things that Susan consistently reminds me whenever I'm in her presence is that if I don't take care of myself, I can't take care of other people. And I have been reflecting on that all day, and I love it when I get to talk to people who make me reflect on things. So I am very confident at the end of the evening, our cups, our plates will overflow with information and her message. So there's a lot to do this evening. There is a lot in store this evening. And we have a lot of people that we need to acknowledge this evening for making all of this possible. And they include PNC, Alcoa, Bayer, BNY Mellon, Heinz, Highmark, UPMC, and US Steel. And I'm going to ask all of you to give them all a round of applause, because were it not for them, none of this would be possible. And you know, so often we have events that we want to do, we want to have programs that we want to put together, we want to put on, and we try to figure out how are we going to make this happen, because we don't have the money, the resources to do it with. And all of those corporations that I just mentioned came together to make this evening's event possible. So they are very special people tonight. Let me first introduce to you Terrell Jackson. He is a mentoree, and he's going to bring forth a message tonight about why this mentoring, the concept of mentoring, is so important, why it is so special, and why it makes a difference. And if you've been involved in it firsthand, no one can tell that story any better. So please make Terrell Jackson feel important, feel special as Terrell Jackson comes forward with that message.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Terrell Jackson, as she had mentioned. It is a great pleasure and honor to be in front of all of you on this evening. I do not take it lightly. I just want to start by saying if there's anyone that I haven't met or talked to, because there's a lot of you, and all of you have mingled with each other. This is a networking event, so that's a happy sight to see. But I would like to meet anyone that I haven't talked to, because meeting new faces and new people is part of my everyday lifestyle. So that's what I want to do after this event. So please, I will come up to many of you. I would like all of you to, hey, stop me before I'm walking somewhere else or for free, please. I love meeting new people. I get a true joy out of meeting new faces. And as I was walking around, I noticed that many of you were looking at my name tag, and however, I don't work for any of the corporations that are here that help sponsor and put this program together. However, I am a mentee who has mentored. So what I'm here for is I'm here to discuss my true passion for mentoring. When I say a mentee who has mentored, that still means that I'm still being guided by those who have been with me from the start. I'm still being shown the true direction on where to go to be successful as a college student, for my destiny that I want to fulfill is not over yet. And the reason why I say I've mentored is because I've had the necessary experience, and there's not a PowerPoint that I have or a presentation that's really nifty, because when it comes to talking about a subject such as this, such as mentoring, investing myself with those of being younger because of how I once had the upbringing of being mentored, is something that comes off pretty natural, and I have a true passion to let everyone know how mentoring truly does matter. Now, what I really want to do is I want to share a story that stuck with me, that my mother and I was talking about. It touched me, and honestly, she had just brought it up to me last night, and I'm in my dorm room in college, and I'm like, wow, this is really a true, inspirational, powerful story. And I'm like, if it inspired me, I know this can be inspirational, and it can appeal to all of the emotions there today. So I want to share a story, and it's about an individual named Wes Moore. And he was an author, of course, and he wrote about someone with the same name. And the book is entitled The Other Wes Moore. And two different identities, of course, but two different pathways. Now, I would like you guys to check this out. Very simply, putting a mentoring relationship is one where a wiser, caring, more experienced person or assisting another person can help grow and help others learn more. It gives you a heightened awareness or more opportunities and choices. It's just the bottom line that you can make a difference in many communities. Now, about the Wes Moores, prime example, one was mentored in a given direction. The other wasn't. We'll call the other Wes Moore. What makes so many young men, and particularly black, poor young men, raised mostly by their mothers, choose the drug trade and all of the violence that attends it as a career. Both he, the author, and the other Wes Moore were raised at the same time in the same crime-plagued area. They both began to struggle in school at about the same time. They both had early brushes with the law due to petty crimes at about the same time. However, their lives took dramatically different paths. In 2000, a Baltimore newspaper ran a story with the headline, "Local graduate named Rhodes Scholar." It was a story about the author, Wes Moore, a young black man who rose from the drug, crime, and poverty-stricken streets of the city to attain this prestigious academic honor. Several months earlier, in the same paper, Mr. Moore had noticed a series of articles about two black men who killed a Baltimore policeman while robbing a jewelry store. The name of one of the killers struck him. His name was also Wes Moore. This coincidence prompts the author to seek out the other Wes Moore. And what I mean by seek out is he actually wanted to meet this guy in person. It struck him like, wow, there's another guy with my name who has a different path. So he contacts Wes in prison, which is where the other Wes Moore went due to his crime. And he asks him simply, how did this happen? The question jumpstarts the story of these two young men whose lives paths diverge, one into triumph and the other into tragedy. The author comes to realize that this seemingly complicated story, a too familiar story that is frightening with the societal, economic, and racial impact, comes down to a few simple moments in time. These forks in the road can happen so fast to young boys. He says within months or even weeks, their journey can take a decision and possibly irrevocable turn. I would more specifically pin the divergence on the boys' mothers. The author is born into a two-parent home, both parents college educated, but his father dies when Wes is just 3 years old. His mother moves to the Bronx so that her parents can help provide a stable home life. She works multiple jobs so that she can put her boys in private school. When the author starts to feel the pull of the streets, she packs into military school. This is the prime example. The other Wes Moore grows into a single-parent household of a starkly different character. His father is absent, and his mother frequently dumps him on friends and family so she can go out clubbing. Although she'd been attending community college, she loses her Pell Grant and simply just gives up. Disagreements in the home are handled with beatings. The other, or the older brother, gets in the drug trade. And all three of them, mother and two sons, bring babies into the world without the stability of marriage. It's no surprise when the other Wes Moore's run-ins with the law began. Now, when he said a few key moments on where the path of the other Wes Moore turned, it was because he didn't have the direction. And direction, the simple direction of one being able to guide another has such an impact on a young individual's life. Now, after I use that example, I would like to share my experience of being a mentee who has mentored in the past, and also recently, and still do it. So, I'm just going to talk a little bit about my experience with myself. In the early years, I was raised similar by a single mother who was known as Monica Smith. If you ever talk to her this evening, kind of look like it too. I was always an individual who had a lot of energy, a ridiculous amount of energy, ridiculously amount. My energy was a key component of my happiness at a young age, as it is now. And I managed to keep a smile on my face as long as I was doing something. I always needed to be involved, do something when I was young. My energy soon transferred over to sports, thank God, and I succeeded in finding a place where that energy belonged. Because before, the energy that I used to project, it belonged in some areas. So when I was young, I was a little crazy, let's be honest. During the middle school years, my energy and strong demeanor was not always a representation in a positive way. I struggled with having respect for adults, thinking I knew everything and followed the model that they weren't always right. I was an individual who cared more about a specific reputation to other students around me, rather than putting forth my own thoughts and efforts towards my academics and what really mattered. So, I was an individual who was always in the principal's office. Always in the principal's office, X amount of times, getting suspended, wasting time on receiving my education. This absolutely had nothing to do with my mother. Absolutely nothing. She taught me right from wrong, kept me involved with church, talked to me about statistics, gave me books to read and enlighten myself, etc., etc. But sometimes there's just not enough. There's just not enough. A woman can teach a boy. It's just not enough on how a woman can teach a boy on how to be a man at some points. And I realized that within my upbringing, and I realize that now as I'm speaking in front of all of you today. She can instill great things in me and be an example, but sometimes it takes more. I did not value the education I could have had seriously taken advantage of, and as a result, my grades were below average. I had failed the 6th grade, completely failed, and I had to repeat. It was until I got snatched up by my stepdad, not literally snatched up, but of course he was able to install great information and knowledge for where I was at this time and point in my life. my uncle, and other male mentors that saw my potential before that light bulb clicked in my head. This is when a turning point began in my life. Repeating the 6th grade was absolutely not fun. To see everyone that you were in the grade with ahead of you, the sight of that and the feeling, and how sometimes you may feel even belittled or you may be under someone, it's not a good feeling. So I was one who always had the energy and who always wanted to rise to the occasion to be a leader. So showing a lot of individuals that you see every day that you've put yourself to a standard to where you fail, I felt like that was not a representation of being a leader. So I was teased and, I begged my mom to send me to another school. And those famous words that she always preached to me still to this day. You made this bed, now lie in it. So I had to. I rolled with the punches. I repeated the 6th grade. And at first, I was just angry and acted out. But with the help of a mentor, thank God for this teacher. It was a true blessing. His name was Mr. Conway. In the 6th grade at NUP, which is Northside of the Pathways, now entitled Urban Pathways at downtown Penn Avenue, he started spending time with me, having serious talks with me, then got with my mother and the plan of an action began. They signed me up for every program available to me. At school, church, in the community, programs, like father to son. BMLDI, which today has had, BMLDI is an acronym for Black Male Leadership Development Institute, which is a mentoring program that I have involved myself with intensely over this past summer. It's had the most positive influence on me. Professional and successful men who took time out of their wonderful lives to come pour into me on how to be a leader. To us, actually, because there were other leaders. That's why I like to say us. I learned about marketing, the process of being on board, and it made me want to reach for more. It gave me more confidence. It made me see that this world wasn't against me. I was all along against myself. As the example of Wes Moore, the other Wes Moore, being against himself. I wanted to have an impact on children's lives. I enjoy seeing the great deeds of having a mentor. I enjoy the great deeds of being a mentor of others. I enjoyed the great deeds and seeing how a mentor can impact my life. I know the true passion and that it comes with because of the trials and experiences in my life, of course. And it really clicked for me. It all became so attainable, not just something on TV, and I was excited about my life. I decided to have a strong sense of urgency towards academics and I didn't have the same mindset as I had once before.
Mentoring does matter. We thank you for sharing your story. A stepfather, a teacher, a pastor. You never know whose life you're going to touch, whose life you're going to turn around, whose life you're going to make a difference in. We're glad those people touched your life and made a difference.
Colleen, I didn't see you here. I saw you early. Where are you? Colleen, stand up. This is Colleen Bedore. Did I say your last name correctly?
Sure.
I did, good. And she is heading up the mentoring partnership of Southwest Pennsylvania. I want all of you to see her. Because everything that we do here tonight is really to send to Colleen the 900, almost 1,988 mentors who are needed right here in Pittsburgh for the organizations that have waiting lists of children hoping that a caring, sharing adult will show up. Young people who need guidance, who need role models, who just need what beautiful Terrell just explained to us he had. and what we saw witnessed before us. And you see, those waiting lists are not filled with children, for the most part, who are outside of our race. When the call goes out for mentors, the first responders are white women, and then white men, then black women and black men. And we need mentors in reverse order, because it's our children, African American children, black kids, who are disproportionately represented on those waiting lists. I really do need, I speak softly, so I need to get closer to the mic. I'll try not to pop my peas. Bishop, man, there's so much that I want to say, and I want to just contain and capsule why I'm here. Because I spent 37 years at Essence, and I'm tired, and part of me is really overwhelmed. And I think when I was speaking to some of you over there, I talked about all the planes I just got off of. I don't even remember the cities I've come from and the ones I still have to travel to. And I'm not doing this because I really and truly want to. I'm doing it because I have to. The village is on fire. The village is on fire. And we are the healing waters our children are screaming for. We're not here tonight to ask you for money. Isn't that really? We're here to ask you for your time. And not a lot of it. We're here to ask if every one of us, and I wish I could do the math, if every one of us in this room brought just 10 friends, we would retire that list. And all of the young ones who are on that list would have that able, stable adult. And we're not talking about moving any young person into your home. We're not talking about giving up, 5, 6, 7 hours a day. We're talking about 1 hour a week. 1 hour a week to change a life, to secure a life, so that we can have Terrells in multiples. The National Cares Mentoring Movement was given birth to at the Essence Music Festival. After Katrina, I said, what could we ask our sisters and brothers to do? Come to New Orleans to party. What could we ask them to do that would change the life of our community, that would help our community? And it didn't take long for the answer to come. It's mentor. Just go back to your respective communities. I brought a lot of celebrities to Houston. We couldn't even get back into New Orleans. And celebrities came, and for 3 days, that's what we said to all the sisters and brothers who were gathered. Please go back to your communities, speak to your pastors, get involved in reentry programs on young people coming out of incarceration who are going to recidivate if we don't give them a bridge to self-stability, what's the word I'm looking for? When you sustain yourself, sustainability, self-sustainability. The bad behavior that we see on the nightly news, no matter where we live, whether it's up in Seattle, where you have 6% of the population in King County that's African American, but 37% of those who are incarcerated are black kids. You heard the statistics that Iman and Oprah and Terrence Howard and Sean Combs shared. This is real. This is very, very real. And the bad behavior I was seeing is really not that our children are bad. We all come out of the womb innocent and loving and trusting. We're the fortunate ones. We really are. And I'm doing this because, I wouldn't be standing here before you if Babs and Lawrence, my parents, didn't put some because I was a wild child. No, I was the one they really had to watch. Not my brother, but me. He was 2.5 years older than me, and my brother was interested in 2 things, books and basketball. I was interested in one thing, where are the boys? And I was lucky enough to have a stay-at-home mother. And my father was in his little store downstairs, and if my mother wasn't at home, I'm afraid. You know what they say about Catholic school girls do? That's a whole other thing. I'm afraid of who I might have been. And so this work is really nourishing. It's nourishing to the soul, to the heart. It's really interesting to hear mentors talk about how mentoring does more for them than they even believe it does for the children who they're sharing their time with. And so the call to action has been issued. And now the National Cares Mentoring Movement, founded as Essence Cares, is now in nearly 60 cities around the country. It's a volunteer army, and I'm a volunteer CEO. We have employees in Atlanta and in New York City. But right here in Pittsburgh, where I came 3 years ago to launch Pittsburgh Cares, we have leadership that is peerless, peerless. Linda Banks, stand up. Terry Michelle, stand up, and really face the community. Just turn around and let the community see. You'd rather not be at the podium, especially that Linda, but you can't even get to open her mouth. And I was saying earlier today that Johnny Cochran was my good friend, and Johnny Cochran and I would sit down and we would try to name the affluent African Americans, those who had resources, who really cared about the community and demonstrated it. We never got beyond one hand and one finger. What's extraordinary about you, Linda Banks, and you, my beloved Terry Michelle, my daughters, my beloveds, is that these are highly resourced women. These are women who own 3 daycare centers, one of the Banks Learning Centers. One of them is open 24 hours a day, 6 days a week. They have resources, they drive well, they live well, they eat well, y'all don't party so much because you always work. But they took it upon themselves, without me asking anything, to say, we're going to do this work. The first one in the whole network to have their own 501c3s, to hire an employee. We didn't put any money into that. I'm raising money all over the country trying to keep our doors open. And when people come up to me and they say, you know, Susan, we're going to do this for you. You're not doing this for me? I have more than enough. I have more. I mean, I'm not like living that large. I mean, I have a house at the beach, you know, right near Johnny Cochran and Earl Graves and Barbara Smith. I can't even get to it. I live in a lovely apartment in New York City. I have a nice home upstate. But the village is on fire. I can't rest easy. Anybody want to buy some property in St. Croix? What's the property in St. Croix? We're going to put a house on the property. Now I don't have any money to put on the house, on the property rent. I don't have any money to buy it, to build a house to put on the property. Because we've given that money to the National Cares Mentoring Movement. This is where my resources are dedicated. Because all I have to do is look out of my window and look up to Harlem, where I was born and raised. And I know that, but for the grace of God, they'll be here talking about me. One of those shiftless mothers who just couldn't keep it together and whose children ended up in foster care. I grew up in a foster family, but I was the biological child. But we're not asking much of you tonight. You see those young people who are our volunteers back? I'm not here to sell books. If you want one, great, but that's not why I'm here. I don't need to sell a book. Our children, they need you. And when people say, I'm going to do this for you, as I said, I don't say do it for me. Don't do it for me. Do it for the children of Pittsburgh who are on waiting lists. And what we were saying today is that we're only talking about the nearly 1,000 who are on waiting lists. But guess what? There are probably another 10,000 who need mentoring. And what we hope we can build forward today is a different kind of experience, a group mentoring experience where young people coming out of incarceration can find themselves in sanctuaries like this, with one person standing before them every day speaking life into them, telling them that we're going to help you. We're the bridge that you need over these troubled waters. Because you know, coming out of incarceration with a felony charge, try to get a job. It's very, very difficult. And what we have to do is we have to ensure our young. This is our job. It's the most important work of our time. But I think I just want to share with you how I think this movement was given birth to. I think it really happened in Orlando, Florida. I had gone down to Orlando. This is years and years and years ago, before we really started Essence Cares, that grew into the National Cares Mentoring Movement. And I had gone down to speak. It was a tribute to businesswomen. And that next morning, it was Friday night when I arrived. It was dark, and I was in a Marriott hotel, couldn't see anything around me. But the next morning, I got up at about 5:45 to go out and do my walk. And so I was walking, and I stepped out of the hotel into this enormous industrial complex. And it was Saturday, so there were no cars in the parking lot. The parking lot was probably 20 times the size of the space we're in. I said, I don't even need to go outside of this area. I can just walk through here. I looked over at the right and I saw, black folks over there. I said, I wonder what they're doing here. Let me go see. I started to walk over there. Before I could get there, they had gone. I crossed a very narrow street, and I found myself in the heart of a really poor community. And we know what poverty looks like. Broken bottles, pieces of dolls, cardboard on windows, trash everywhere. When I started walking through that community, I walked 2 blocks and I came to a larger thoroughfare. And I made a right turn, and I could see them right now in front of like a rooming house, about 7 young people. What is it? 6 o'clock in the morning, 5 after 6, and I'm looking at about 7 or 8 young people standing there like grazing cattle, just moving slowly. And I was wondering what they were doing there. And I don't pass young, especially young African-American males, and not speak to them, because nobody speaks to black men, black boys. They're afraid of them. And I'm like, good morning. They looked at me like I was crazy. I kept walking, and I came back that way, and I said, they don't speak to me today, you know? And I just said, good morning. Across the street, and I got a little, like a little what's up, you know? Kind of nodding of the head, but that was all I got. And kept walking, and I heard music. So I made a left turn. I make a left turn. Now I see about 10 young men in a circle, and they're just, the heads are moving to the music. I'm like, God, and I get, what is it, 6:15? And the music is blasting. So I go over to them. They looked at me again like I was nuts. And one of them looked at me with like a little glimmer of recognition, as if he must have seen me in a magazine. And I said, my name is Susan Taylor, and I'm speaking at the Marriott across the street, and can I speak to you for a moment? And he stepped away from the others, and I knew that he was a leader. And it was like a fast game of ping pong. I said, what are you doing out here? He said, hanging out. But hanging out at 6:15 in the morning? What are you doing out here? Just rolling in from where? The club? Rolling in from the club at 6:15 in the morning? I said, you're going to be arrested. I've been arrested. I'm just getting out of the joint. I said, you're going to get shot. I've been shot. I said, the cops are they're always chasing me. He said, but I'm a businessman. I'm a businessman. And I got my money right here in my pocket, and that's my ride right over there, that's my car, and I'm doing mighty fine. And I said, have you graduated from high school? Yeah, I graduated from high school in the joint. Got my GED, but I'm doing all right. I said, what's your name? He said, my name is Damian. I said, oh, what a beautiful name. And it was like the game stopped. When I said, what a beautiful name, what I saw was a chocolate dream of a brother. He smiled, and these crystal white teeth. He was just so honored that I honored his name. And I was moved to say to him, Damian, I had a card in my pocket, and I handed it to him, and I said, I'm going to be speaking today, you know, in front of people who could really do something with you and your guys. And I said, what were you doing when I came up? You know, we were getting ready to smoke a blunt before you were at 6:15 in the morning, rolling in from the club, having a party on the street, and getting ready to get high. And I said, you know, I knew that the presidents of the Urban League and the NAACP and about 2 black colleges were going to be there. And I said, call me. And if you will allow me, I'd like to enter your life. And he just looked at me, and I went on about my business. I got back to the hotel, did what I had to do, and I had to do a television show, very much like we did today, you know, Lynn. And so I sat down, did the television show, and the brother who picked me up from the airport came to get me to take me to the luncheon. And I said, before I go to the lunch, I have to go back into the community. He said, you went where? You actually went over there by yourself this morning? I said, I'm not afraid of my people. I'm not going to walk through a dark alley by myself at night. I'm not a fool. But what, I mean, I had on what? My little leggings and a little tank top and a little pouch around my waist, listening to a sermon or some music. Well, nobody was going to hurt me. He said, you should never go into that community by yourself. And I said, you know, I need to go back. Because I wrote, the young man I met this morning, I wrote him a note. And the note really said, you have everything, because he was a leader. You have everything we want in our men and in our sons. And if you will allow me, I will help you polish it. And so now his name was Cecil. Cecil and I get in his big chocolate Cadillac. And I'm fabulous. And I got on my little flowing silk dress and have a little makeup on and lipstick, you know. And now we roll into the community, a completely different place. The community is all the way live, man. Everywhere people. I go up to the building where I had seen Damian, and now about 8 or 9 young women, kids with baby carriages, no older than our youngins, sitting at that table. And I say to them, do you know where Damian? Oh, no. First of all, they didn't even answer me. And then I'm insistent, do you know where we can find Damian? I don't know where no Damian is. I don't know where. One of them says, if you can make a right turn, make a left, and go down the way, that's where he hangs with his boys. So that's what we did. Well, when Cecil and I rolled down that street, what we saw was Damian with an army of brothers. And I said, okay, I'm getting out the train. He said, well, you can't go by yourself. I said, if you get out of this car, we're in trouble because they'll think you're a detective. Look at you, Mr. I said, I'm good, let me just go by myself. I get out of the car and I start walking toward Damian. Now, Damian is really embarrassed. Why is she coming up in here? Damian had smoked the blunt. When I got to him, his eyes were just glassy, and I just said, Damian, I'm speaking across the street as I said, and I came to look for you, and I had this note, and if I didn't find you, I was going to leave it for you, and come, I want you to come, be my guest. It just sprang through me, Bishop. I said, I want you to come just like you are. And he had on that little uniform, and black men, have always had mad style. So I don't know where this uniform, the long white t-shirt, crystal white, and then the little cut-off pants, big pants cut off at the calf, with big fat sneakers and socks tucked down. It's like proportionately, it's crazy. So just like you were. And he just looked at me. He never said a word. And I got in the car and we went into the luncheon. There must have been about 800 people there. And they had eaten their lunch while I was trolling for David. I come up to the podium and I tell the story. I speak about whatever I'm there to speak about that day. And I said, but across the street, this is what I met. Right across the street from this industrial complex, this beautiful hotel, there's a struggling community. And we've got to bridge the divide. I don't know what I came to talk about that day. Halfway through, Damian, are you here? I'm looking around, no Damian. Got it. And then I get like almost done. 3/4, Damian, is Damian in the house? No Damian. Before I take my seat, oh, Damian, is Damian in the house? No Damian. I sit down, and now they bring me my lunch, because while they were eating, I was looking. A woman comes up to me, she says, guess what, Damian is here? I'm like, Damian is here. I get up, and the woman who was the host, Kim, was standing where I am. I was sitting where you are, Linda. I got up, and I came to her, and I said, guess what? Damian is here. And she said, oh my goodness. I said, can I bring him down? She said, yeah. So I go to the back of the room, and there he is. And I sit down next to him. I said, Damian, you just came. He said, no, I've been here the whole time, but you were talking about me. I said, Damian, I want you to come down front. Will you come? And he said, he looked around. And we're talking about, I'm in Florida. And you know how the sisters and brothers show up. The sisters, everything is matching. It's a luncheon. They've got hats, and they're gorgeous, and pearls, and the brothers are too fly. And here's Damian and Susan. I have his hand. And we're literally walking down the aisle. And I'm holding, he's shaking like a leaf, like this. And the community starts to clap. And then they start to call his name, Damian. It was like a Rocky moment. Damian. Damian came to the front, the community surrounded him. It was such a beautiful, beautiful moment. Essence had we had just done a book by black men and about black men, and I had to go sign the books. So I left Damian with the community, got his number and everything, and I went to sign the books. And I said, Damian, we're really going to work with you. He gave me his mother's number, too. I wanted his mother's number. I called his mother, and she said, I don't want him anywhere near the children. He's a drug addict, and I don't want my kids to be, influenced by him. And, Damian is not going to follow through with anything, and he's been incarcerated, and she went on and on and on. And then Damian's phone number was lost, and, he got another cell phone or whatever. I lost track of Damian. But to this day, Damian is in my heart. And what I realized was if the community had knitted itself, I'm not asking anybody to be Damian's parent, but here's the goal. Our kids are in crisis. The government is not going to save them. Foundations can't do it alone. The community can't do it alone. We're talking about partnerships. We've got to link arms and hands. And we've got to live for something greater than ourselves. We have to live for something more than having a bigger house, a bigger car, more shoes, more stuff that we don't even have room for. That we have to find these little containers along the highway to store. I got stuff over there, stuff we're tripping over. Our children need us. They need us desperately. And it's the most important work of our time. And I think it was that experience there in Orlando, Florida, that just helped me to see what community could do. And so maybe not from that day, but soon after Katrina, this is what I started devoting my life to. And then when I learned that 80% of black fourth graders were reading below grade level, the day that I learned that, I called Marion Wright Edelman. I said, that can't be. I said, it cannot be. And she said, it's true. It was 80%, now it's 86%. Today it's 86% of black fourth graders reading below grade level. Today, the reading scores of African American children are lower than Latinos for whom English is a second language. If you can't read, you can't open up any of the doors and pull any of the levers you have to pull to succeed. The children, as I said, they're not bad children. These are young ones. Any mad dads? Is George here? I don't know if he came this evening. He might not have, but we were together earlier today. I don't know the words to say. To say that, you know, and here's what happens. The last time, Linda and Terry spent so much money on this movement. They hired a full-time person. The first time I came here 3 years ago, were any of you there 3 years ago when we launched? Okay, so a few of you were. You saw the turnout. There were about 500-600 people there. Sitting in that, we were at what stadium? Heinz Stadium. Sitting at big tables and a band played. It was a party. People show up for the party. They didn't come for the purpose. Because when it came time to sign up, maybe 250 people signed up. I'm afraid to ask how many of those 250 people really became mentors. Because this is what happens. People come, and some of them sign up, and maybe 10% of them show up. Let me just share this with you. You know, Juanita Lomax, I'm going to say that the Holy Spirit is pleased with you. Because we didn't even ask you to do this, you offered. And you brought all the sponsors to the table, you got the bank to open its doors. Can you stand up? I want to make sure that everybody sees you. Here's what the National Cares Mentoring Movement does. We say we collect, connect, and direct. We recruit mentors, connect with them, and then deploy them. Deploy them to where they're needed. And what we want to do is deploy them to Colleen. Because Colleen has how many mentoring organizations? 150 mentoring organizations right here in Pittsburgh, your community, that are waiting. The children are waiting. They're waiting, they're waiting, they're hoping. We don't want them to grow up before we show up. Because our children are going to give us the future we deserve. And if we don't give them time, the system will. They need our time. They need to see you. They need to experience what Terrell talked about, just to witness you do what you do, just to sit there and not even speak to them so much as to listen. To hear them talk about their pain. There are children who have no place to sleep. Grandmothers who are worn out. Grandmothers who pass away and then pass the kids off to a friend who's lucky enough, who's kind enough to take these children. I mean, this is really happening on our watch. And as I said in that video, hell no, excuse me, Bishop, but not on our watch. Not on our watch. The most privileged group of black people anywhere on the planet. The most affluent and highly educated group of black people ever on the planet. That would be us, doing less than our grandmothers did for the community. Our grandmothers and grandfathers would not have allowed the kind of suffering that we've allowed. So this is what I'm asking of you. To really take something off the platter, the overflowing platter. Take something off. I don't know if you saw the Time magazine cover story that showed that the average American watches 17 hours of television a week. 17 hours of television a week. I was in Costa Rica with some friends over the last holiday season, and I was stunned. High-ranking corporate executives, people ruling the world, making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, they They knew the housewife of every basketball city, whatever it is. I had no time for that. They knew all the housewives in America, all their names, their address. I was like, I'm not criticizing. I couldn't believe that they knew that. Did you spend your time doing what? That's not how you download. And I know we're all under stress, and we've done the research. The research, Lynn, shows that the reason that African Americans are not mentoring to the degree that we should, it's not that we don't care. Who cares more about everybody than black people? We're the most caring and forgiving people in the world. It's that we're overwhelmed. We're stressed out. We may look like we're doing fine, all you well-employed people, but we have Pookie in them, the family members who wear us out. You're making a dime, they want 9 cents. Well, I'm here to tell you, that's what I live. You know? So we may be doing okay, but we still have our family members in the call, and a lot of us are working in organizations where we're not honored, where we don't have the power and the support that you have, I hope, that allow for all of this. So that's why we're not mentoring, and before the National Cares Mentoring Movement, there was no infrastructure in our community to recruit us. We are here, grassroots, in the community, the children are there, and they're ready to sign us up. But I'm asking you to do this favor. This costs money administratively for you to sign up and not show up, because now we have to input your name and get back in touch with you and deploy you over to job. There's a lot of work that we have to do. If you can find 1 hour a week, 1 hour a week to just give to a young one, and let that person have your cell phone number. We can do more via cell phone than, we have all the technology, we have everything we need. I want to leave you with just these thoughts. These thoughts. I want us to leave here feeling overjoyed and grateful. Every day I wake up with a smile on my face. You know why? Because gratitude makes everything that we have more than enough. Gratitude makes everything you have more than enough. We whine and we complain and and I don't know, and somebody's on my case and somebody hurt me and this one. We keep looking at the wake. Those of you who know, this is something I wrote 30 years ago, trying to understand why I didn't think my parents loved me. I didn't think that they loved me until I began to do the research, and I saw why Mommy was always complaining and Daddy was sullen. I wrote this and it's gone viral. Hurt people hurt people. Hurt people hurt people. So the boss who's dishonoring, the partner who's disrespectful, the one who's unfaithful, the kids who are out of control, hurting. Hurt people hurt people. And hurt people bring their pain with them wherever they go. So what we have to do is just forgive everybody who ever hurt you. Anybody in here can get up and give a testimony about being left, being abused sexually, emotionally, physically, losing our money. Look, New Orleans, I know people who lost everything that was dear and familiar to them. But here we are. And as I travel, I meet them and they're like, oh, I never thought I'd recover. You see, you can go to church, you can go to the temple, you can go to the mosque, you can go 7 days a week. But the Holy Spirit is asking you to do it. Roll up your hands and live the word. That's what the Holy Spirit is asking of you, not just to be in the sanctuary praising God and singing to the music and looking fine. You know, hands that serve are holier than lips that pray. Hands that serve are holier than lips that pray. God doesn't need your prayers. You think God is going to help you because you pray?
The Holy Spirit doesn't need your prayers or your praise. We are earth angels, the offspring of God. That's who we are. Made in the, do I have it right? First book of the Bible, Genesis. Made in the image and likeness of the love that created you. That's who we are. Made in the image and likeness of God. What does that mean? I'm going to tell you what it means. You never have to worry about a thing. Who in here never worries? We all worry. And you know what does worry solve? Nothing. What does it do? Makes you sick. Hypertension, diabetes, it makes us overeat, not want to get out of the bed, it creates depression. I want to give you a little system to change your life. To change your life. You come first. This is so hard for us, especially women. First Lady. We believe that everybody comes before us. we come first, not just women, each of us.
You know, gentlemen, your honey may say, we want you to do the law and do this. I can't do it today, honey. Tired. Can't do it. House pristine, everything in neat, everything in order. We get up at 10 o'clock, there's a dust bowl over there. Oh, I gotta go clean my house. Everything in the closet, neat and organized, but we're dying on the inside. And what I'm saying is that life is lived from within, and we're focused on the outside. How am I looking? How am I sounding? What's going on? Every day, you have to give yourself to yourself before you give yourself away. 45 minutes every day so that you're in your right mind. When you're in your right mind and somebody hurts you, disrespects you, the boss doesn't do it, you don't get the promotion, you get a flat tire, you have a car accident, but you're still breathing, you're like, I'm in gratitude, you know? When I don't take care of me, I'm not the best wife. I'm fussing and careful. I can't stand the way you drive. Why don't you slow down? When I'm taking care of me, it's like, baby, please slow down. I want to be with you for the next 40 years. And he's like, yeah, that's right, honey. But when I'm screaming and shouting, the joy of the journey is gone. So we have to take our hands off of our hips. Some of us have partners. We haven't said a kind word to our beloved, been married 20, 30 years. Haven't said a kind word in 10. Mad because she did something however many years ago she betrayed you. Mad because 10 years ago he had a girlfriend. Get over it. Get over it. Get it together. Practice forgiveness. You know, let it go. Get a book. Go see pastor. Go see somebody. Heal thyself. So we can be a vessel for the healing that God wants us to put in the world. Here's the ritual. You get up, you put a smile on your face. Thank you, Lord. I'm still in the game. Not everything is going to be the way you want it to be ever in your life. Everybody you saw in that video, all of them are wealthy, they are famous, we all know them, they're all over the world. Does that mean that they don't cry on their pillow? You think Oprah doesn't have drama in her life? Major drama. Her network. It's not doing as well as it should. You all better tune in. You know? So everybody, nobody gets to walk the face of this earth without pain. Whether your name is Barack Obama, or it's Wes Moore. You're going to know challenges, you're going to know struggles. You know, do you think that Bishop, because he's leading a big church, doesn't have drama? Try to lead a congregation. The craziness that goes on behind the scenes. Amen. So, pain is a natural and important part of life. Did you hear that? Pain is a natural and important part of life. Physical pain, pain in the stomach is trying to tell you something. Pain is information. It's, what day is today? I don't even know. It's Wednesday? Thursday? It's Thursday? And you have like tears in your heart because you haven't heard from your baby in 3 days. Your partner, that person not feeling you, get over it. Learn to love goodness. Learn to love what loves you. You know, just wake up. Wake up. You can't be healthy and strong and not work out. You think I'd get out there and try to walk every day if I could maintain health without doing it? Your life is calling you. So the diabetes, the hypertension, the heart disease, all the illnesses, cancers, the things that we're hosting and trying to heal, it's life speaking to us. My Italian girlfriend, Angela Pastidomo. Do you know what she said? Cancer was my best friend. What do you mean? She said, because not until I got cancer did I start taking care of myself. I thought it was all about my 2 husbands and my 4 sons. But when I got cancer, I couldn't deny me. I had to learn how to love me, how to honor me, how to take care of me. Stop cursing yourselves out. Stop being mad at yourself for whatever happened back here, back then. What is so extraordinary about life and about our Creator is that not every day is new. Every second is new if we renew our minds. So you get up and you remember who you are, human and divine, made in the image and likeness of the love that created you, which means what? That means that you have the ability to create and the responsibility to create. Driving across the bridges we did and looking at the skyline of Pittsburgh, I'm like, wow, beautiful city. But somebody had to envision this. Everything we see had to be a vision before you could make it concrete. So we're an awesome people. And I'm talking about the human race. What a gift it is to be born human. To be able to envision, to think, to create, to write it down, to roll up your sleeves and say, I'm going to create that world. You can do it. There's nothing that you can't do that is good for humanity. This is what the Holy Spirit is asking of you. Live from me, and I'll give you every single thing you need to thrive. That's the deal. But live for yourself and just want more, you're going to be hosting all kinds of craziness. So here's the ritual. You get up every day and you say, thank you for my life. And whatever comes along, in fact, the first chapter in that book, I quote Rumi, my favorite poet, a 13th century Sufi mystic. We're talking about the 1200s. You know what he said? In a poem he wrote, or an essay that's called The Guest House. The Guest House. He said life is like a guest house. Every day there's a new arrival. Every day there's some drama at your door. You know what day without drama? Did you have drama at the daycare centers? Yes, all the time. Why? Because you're dealing with people. You're dealing with people. You don't live in a room by yourself, oh, you won't have any drama. But you'll have no joy. You'll have no joy. Okay, so he says every day there's some stuff. But he says don't bar the door. He says open it widely and invite those errant guests in because they were sent from beyond. And the way I interpret that is everything that comes your way. The relationship that breaks up, the boss who gets on your nerves, the losing of your money. If the four brothers who started Essence Magazine hadn't been so dishonored on their jobs and been treated just a little bit better, there would have been no Essence. Because they would never have become entrepreneurs. The first wave of corporate brothers, you know? So everything that comes your way, every breakup, every shakeup, every drama, here's the question to ask. What have you come to teach me? In the silence, what have you come to teach me? Listen in, it will be revealed. And so you move from pain to healing. But choosing to stay in that pain means what? That you're going to suffer. Suffering is a choice, not pain. Pain is a natural and important part of life. The ritual, you get up, put a smile on your face, and decide what you're going to eat today. You have to get healthy. It's not a bagel and 4 cups of coffee and butter and cream cheese. It's not that. It's not the sticky bun. It's not the Cinnabon. Sponsors. It's not breakfast. Breakfast is protein. It's buying some hemp seed, pure protein, or some protein powder without a lot of additives and sweeteners and stuff like that. And it's putting little hands full of fruit. We're supposed to have 7 servings of fruit every day. Anybody eating 7 servings of fruit? Who can eat that? But those are the antioxidants that keep you healthy and strong. So raspberries, blueberries, a little something in the blender. You put in some flaxseed, a little, almond milk. Not skim milk, laden with sugar. Sugar's to kill a big old fat belly, it's sugar. Sugar. I'm saying don't curse the belly out, love it. But you're not going to be here, curse them. Because I'll make the changes that I need to get rid of the fat and to keep my heart strong, right? Because you cannot serve from an empty cup. You can't serve when you're not feeling well. So we need to be a well community so we can give from the overflow. That's what I'm talking about here tonight, okay? So now we know what we're going to have in the morning for breakfast. And we're talking about this is what we're going to have for breakfast. And this is what I have for lunch. For lunch, I'm going to have my little bit of protein, whether it's meat or chicken or whatever, and a lot of greens, a lot of salad. Bring it to work, save your money, and buy another house. Okay? And you're not spending all that money on lunch. You bring your little thing, you have your little balsamic vinegar, and that's what you eat every day. And that's what you have for dinner, too. Now, I have my coconut cake, but I can't have it every day. Once in a while. And if I have a big slice, I'm going to eat, I'm going to walk more, so that you are knowing that what? Calories have to be used, burned up, or they store as what? Fat. Simple, simple, simple. Okay. So now we know what we're going to have today. We've gotten 45 minutes before the day begins, and now you have to do this in place. You don't have to go to the gym. A lot of us have gyms in our businesses, or you belong to the gym, or maybe some of you have treadmills at home. 20 minutes. Cardiovascular strength. Anybody in a wheelchair? Flap your wings. This is self-love. Nobody can move your body. Nobody can exercise you. If you don't love you teach other people how to treat you by how you treat you. So start treating yourself well. How many, I'm not going to ask for a show of hands, but if you don't have love in your life, even though you may not admit it, you're looking for it. You're looking for love. And let me tell you something. When you start loving yourself, you have to beat off the suitors. You have to beat them all off. Because love is a magnet. It draws crazy people, too. It draws love. Because we're all looking for healing. We're all looking for loving back and talk about it another time. But if you have a brother in your life, love him or let him go. Love him or leave him. Love him or leave him. Let him process his stuff and put his feet up and, sweetie, could you pick up the so-and-so? Or sweetie, can't you see that you're so-and-so and so-and-so? I'm just telling you, I'm just loving you like that. I'd have a girlfriend if you treated me like that. So, we all need love. And you gotta be able to say to your partner, sweetheart, talk to me more gently. Speak to me softly. And if I speak to you harshly, correct me. Because I want this to be a place of love. This is where it starts with me loving me. And as Marie Evans says, you bring you a whole person, and I'll bring me a whole person. And we'll have twice as much of love and everything. You have to bring your wholeness to life every single day. And then you do your little workout, you go in the bathtub, you lay there, 10 minutes. This is what I did this morning, and I got up at 4 o'clock to get here. But before I got on that plane, I lay. It's a good thing, because y'all had me moving from the time I got off the plane. I would have my bath. I lay there, and I listened in to the Holy Spirit. Pen right next to me. Because in the silence is when the wisdom flows. Oh, that's what I need to do. Oh, yeah, I forgot to do it. Thank you, Lord. Write it down. Everything. There is no problem you have, not one, that you can't solve. That's what it means to be human and divine. Every social, personal, political, world problem has a solution, but we have to bring it. You come out of that bathtub, take time with yourself. Moisturize, not like this. Gotta go. Moisturize your body. Stop cursing yourself out. We look in the mirror, oh, look at you. Especially when we look at you, oh, you let yourself go. Look at your hair, look at your skin, oh, you're fat, look at you. That's cursing yourself out. If you're human and divine, when you speak something, you speak it into life. So you want to look in that mirror and say, I'm loving you. Hey, handsome. You're fine, fabulous. Look at you with your gap in your teeth. Ooh, your skin's need a facial. You're going to go get one. Don't have to do anything out. But you're going to buy a little cream, get yourself together, that big belly. Loving you, but you're not going to be here come summer. I'm cursing myself out. I'm taking care of myself. The children, you have little ones at home. You don't jump them out of, get out of bed. You're going to miss the bus. You wake them up like you do, Linda. Sweet thing. Come on, darling. Mommy's little angel. Daddy's sweetheart. Come on, baby. Time to get up. That's how our children need to be awakened. And if you have a sweet thing back in the bed, lie back in there for a minute. Throw your leg over your baby. Hey, darling, I'm loving you. Gotta go now. See you later. I want to keep it tight at home. It's right back there waiting for me. Getting my cold from the car. Hi, sweetie. How are you? The girls are wearing me out here in Pittsburgh, but I'm coming home. Can't wait to see you. 23 years. I want to keep it sweet. This is my second time around. I'm married to the best man I know. Sometimes he gets on my damn nerves. People say, I'll tell you another story. So I wouldn't say that. Now you come out of the bathtub, you've done what you have to do. You're not searching for your keys. Because you're organized, you're ordered. You know you're not rushing. You're on your way to work. If you're driving and somebody cuts you off, or you're in public transportation and they knock into you, you're not mad at them. They're in a rush. Go on your way. I'm easing on to work. Because the crazy people are waiting right there for you in the sanctuary, in the office, in the daycare center, right here at the PNC Bank. They're waiting right there. But the craziness doesn't happen inside of you. Why? Because you put on your spiritual armor. You have put on your spiritual armor, not just at Kwanzaa and Christmas and Easter, and once in a while when you go to church, or just every Sunday, or Saturday. We're talking about every day. Every day, put on that spiritual armor, and then you start taking off your schedule. Where's this conversation? I had this conversation with her yesterday about the same nonsense about somebody else's business. Gotta go, girl. Bye. Let me go mentor a child. Let me save a life. Let me do God's work. The Holy Spirit will nourish you beyond the telling. So this is what we're asking. Live for something larger than yourself. Live for something larger than all that we can see, because everything that we can see, it's dust, including us, here today and gone tomorrow. I want to end this with the last stanza of the Black National Anthem. Even if you're not we're all of African ancestry. You said this earlier today, right? That we all come from the Rift Valley. That's where humanity started. But think about your ancestors, wherever they come from. We're not all African Americans here. Let's hold up our ancestors. And for the, how can I forget, the voting rights law. You know what I mean? That this can only happen to black people. It wouldn't happen to Latinos. Latinos, there's going to be a day of absence if y'all don't pass that. We just like, we talk, but we don't have a plan. So the plan is we start with ourselves, and we give from the overflow. So I'm going to say the last stanza, make up a couple of little things after it, and let's shout it. Can we shout here in the back? We can shout? We can shout the roof off? Yeah? Let's go. Okay? Shadow beneath thy hand. That's not a shout out. Let's say it from the heart. We're talking about our ancestors. All they get. Shadow beneath thy hand.
Shadow beneath thy hand.
May we forever stand.
May we forever stand.
True to our God.
True to our God.
True to our native land.
True to our native land.
I can do this.
I can do this.
This I can do.
This I can do.
I can live my life.
I can live my life.
Fully. Joyfully.
Joyfully.
Healthfully.
Healthfully.
Lovingly.
Lovingly.
Because God's got my back. Let's go to work, y'all.
Let me just say that, first of all, since I work for PNC, so I am a banker. I know all about the numbers. You said earlier about the numbers. We have 200 people in the room, and everybody invites 10 people. That's 2,000 helping hands. At an hour a week, for 52 weeks, is 104,000 hours. Ladies and gentlemen, that's not healing waters. That's a healing tidal wave. You absolutely inspired me, and I'm sure that you've done the same for everyone in the room. And it has been an absolute pleasure meeting you, and I'm sure you have changed everyone's life. Thank you.
I don't know about you, the other thing is every time I hear the word Damian now, a different perspective, it just gives it life. I mean, you're Damian and now I know how to make a difference. Sign up. If you want to make a difference, if you want to meet your Damian, if you want to make a difference in the life of a young person, the cards are now available. They're going to be passed around. If you want to take more than one card for those 10 people that you can share with a group, you should take more than one card. This is also an opportunity if you have a question that you would like to ask Susan. We can field those questions at this point as well. If you're concerned about that 1 hour a week, whether or not it means more than 1 hour a week. We can field some of those questions as well. Susan is shaking her head like, no, it does not mean more than an hour a week.
In our region, so if you are available early morning, lunchtime, you could go to a local school, after school, Saturdays only. So the variety of programming helps us to say, what time are you available? What age group of kids would you like to volunteer with? Would you like that volunteering to be around a sport-related theme, or would you rather do academic help? Would you like to work with kids in your neighborhood, or maybe near where your office is? Would you like to do that online? You could be an e-mentor and talk about your careers and help a kid understand the pathway to your career. So there's a whole variety of ways that you can engage, and we're ready to help you do that.
In other words, there is a program that will fit your schedule. Whatever time you're available, there's a program that will fit your schedule. Any other questions? Any other concerns? Anything that you just may need to know before you take one of those cards? You see all of the young people walking around with the cards. If anyone doesn't have a card and they'd like a card, just raise your hand and we'll make sure that one of the, perfect. We want to see a lot more hands than that. That's perfect.
You worked with Essence Magazine with a lucrative paycheck. Can you tell everybody how much you make now and why you made that change?
He said I worked for Essence Magazine, yes, for 37 years and with a lucrative paycheck. And I'm making a little joke here because Essence was black owned until the time they bought it, right? White people pay you a lot more than black folks do. So this is my bonus? Well, I got a $25,000 bonus. I was like, wow, I got a $25,000 bonus. Time Inc. would give me twice my salary in one check because the numbers were right. You know, when you deliver, the Holy Spirit rewards you. It comes through different channels. I'm a volunteer CEO today, so I don't get a salary for the National Cares Mentoring Movement, but I have a staff of 5 people and 2 consultants, and I'm raising money to keep our doors open, and we have projects, programs that we're building all over the country. They're unique models. They're group mentoring models that we're piloting. And let me call out our sponsors, the Kellogg Foundation, the Department of Energy, National Science Foundation, Verizon, AT&T, Bank of New York Mellon, they're sponsoring tonight, as well as Coca-Cola Foundation, Open Societies Foundation. We're raising money. We're raising money. You gotta believe. And I said, I don't want to work with anybody who's not a believer. Don't tell me about a shrinking financial market. Oh no, I don't see it shrinking, I see it growing. And anything that you need to do God's work flows toward you. So that's, you know, I'm not taking home a paycheck from the National Cares Mentoring Movement, but I'll tell you this, my joy, this is a higher calling than my 37 years at Essence. So.
Any other questions? Did everyone get a card who wants a card? Did everyone get a card who thinks they might want a card? Did everyone get a card who wants to take a card home? Make sure it gets out from here. So there's a couple more cards over there. If you have a card that hasn't been collected too at this point, make sure you hold that up so that we get all the cards collected. So if you have a card that's been filled out, just hold it up here with us while we get all those cards. We don't want you taking your card home. If we got your information, we want to continue your networking. And on behalf of everyone who put this amazing event together, thank you for coming. I hope you have a wonderful experience in your mentoring road, and I hope you enjoy yourself.
Hi, how are you? My name is Danica, but actually this is for my mother and her best friend. Her name is Demetria, D-E-M-E-T-R-I-A.
Thank you.
And what is your name?
My name is Danica, D-A-N-I-C-A. Thank you.
ICA?
And then that one is for Lucille.
Lucille? Well, L-U-C-I-L-L-E?
Yep.
It's everywhere. It's everywhere, yes. I'm in a heart basket.
And I work with PNC, and I am the secretary of their African American Employee Business Resource Group. So we were here to see Susan Taylor speak on mentoring in Pittsburgh.
So what did you think about the speech that Susan Taylor gave?
I thought that it was fantastic. She had a lot of great points. She brought to our attention that our communities are on fire, and we are the people that can fix it, more so than anybody else. So I was incredibly inspired, and I'm ready to make a change in the community.
So you're going to be a mentor?
I signed up today, absolutely. I signed up to be a mentor.
All right, if there's anything that you would like to say to other people to help them become a mentor, what would you say to them?
I would just say, when you think about all of the things that you've been through and all of the people that have probably helped you to get to where you are, it's time to give back and it's time to make a change.
If there's anything that you'd like to say to the youth today, not just of Pittsburgh, but of the nation, what would you say to them?
Ask for help. We're here to help. We want to help. Find somebody that you connect with. There's always somebody to talk to. We're all part of the same community, and we need to bring each other up and help everybody get better.
My name is Carlo Antone Fontenot.
And what do you do?
I work in product management for Bayer Material Science.
And what part of the city of Pittsburgh are you from?
I am originally from Houston, Texas, but I live in Canonsburg, Pennsylvania.
So why are you here tonight?
I was here to hear the wonderful speaker, Mrs. Susan L. Taylor, and I had a great time.
So what did you think of her speech?
I thought it was moving. I thought it was appropriate. I thought it was timely.
So do you think that it motivated a lot of people in the room to become mentors?
I certainly think so. I think that she hit a very tender nerve in that we don't do enough in the community, and that an hour is all we have to give out of the several we have during a week period.
If there is something that you would say to adults across the Pittsburgh area about being mentors, what would you say to them?
I'd say that you're greatly needed. You need to help influence this next generation. They don't have the influences that we had and the great family support that we had, the extended family. Everyone has ventured out, people are having less kids, and families are living further away from each other. So we need to go back into the community. I think Ms. Taylor had a very valid point when she stated that the village is on fire. It takes a village, so we need to help put that fire out.
If there's anything that you would say to the youth, not just of Pittsburgh, but the nation, what would you say to them?
Get involved, focus on your studies, and make something of yourself.
If you're in the Pittsburgh area and you want to become a mentor, call Pittsburgh Cares at 412-241-6005. Again, that's Pittsburgh Cares, 412-241-6005. If you're in any other part of the country and you want to become a mentor, call National Cares Mentoring Movement at 1-888-990-IMIN. Again, that is 1-888-990-4646. And tell them that you've seen this video.